We were talking just before the top of the hour about shell bills and how there are just dozens and dozens of bills out there filed at the Illinois Statehouse that have been moved out of committee that literally change one word. And just to kind of give you, again, the, in a way, process this plays out, if you go to the Illinois General Assembly's website, ilga.gov, I just clicked on House members, and I know that Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch has a lot of these shell bills, and you can see, just go to his page and look at all of his bills. All of these bills, I don't even know how many there are. How about this? How about we do a Control F? Search for HB. How many are there? There are 944 House bills. All right. A lot of these, I would venture to say most of them are what are considered shell bills. And that's where they, let's just click on one here. All right. Elections technology. All right, so it amends the election code, makes a technical change in a section concerning the short title. That's the synopsis. It was put in executive committee, and it was passed out of executive committee. And unanimously, I mean, everybody approved to move this out of the executive committee, and this was probably on some kind of consent agenda to move this through. But what's really in this bill, if you look at the bill, it simply just changes the to the, and it allows them later on, after they've moved this out of committee, it allows them to then grab the bill and take the bill, remove its contents entirely, and put a totally different bill in there. In the last-minute efforts, if they're close to deadlines, they're in the session until mid-May, so we'll see ultimately how that plays out. But dozens and dozens and dozens of these shell bills getting passed out of executive committee with a committee deadline of Friday for House bills to move out of the House committees and Senate bills to move out of Senate committees. So there's going to be a ton of action this week in committees at the Illinois Statehouse. And of course, advocacy groups are out raising the alarm or showing support for various pieces of legislation. One in particular, you've got the Illinois State Rifle Association. They are pushing back against House Bill 1436. And I apologize. The number for that is 1404. So House Bill 1404 amends the Illinois Domestic Violence Act of 1986. It provides that if a respondent to an order of protection is subject to remedies prohibited firearm possession, the order of protection shall also include an order to surrender firearms, sets forth requirements for the surrender of any firearm, and law enforcement agencies providing statements of receipt of firearms, provides that the failure to surrender any firearm within 24 hours to the appropriate law enforcement agency under an order to surrender firearms shall constitute contempt of court for the violation of the terms of the order of protection. So it's an order of protection measure that they're looking to implement. And the Illinois State Rifle Association essentially saying that this measure is a violation of the Second Amendment. We'll see just how far that piece of legislation gets, but it is possible to come up in a House committee for HB 1404. You've got the Judicial Criminal Committee that's happening this afternoon at 4. You've got another opportunity. It could come up March 9th at 12. So they're obviously putting the word out about filing witness slips to oppose that. And if you're not familiar with how to file witness slips, there's several different types of tutorials online that can show you that. Meanwhile, another advocacy group, the Illinois Family Institute, they've got a slew of bills that they are asking people to support. One requires school boards to ensure that parents are free to petition the school board, provide public comment at all public meetings, have access to certain information, are well informed, and so on. So it seems to be a public transparency bill. Another couple of bills here, House Bill 1148 and House Bill 2343, talks about abortion clinics and how they shall offer a woman seeking an abortion the opportunity to view her baby after 8 weeks gestation before having an abortion. You've got others here that they are supporting. HB 1162. It prohibits mobile abortion units. And we've actually seen that where you've had these RVs set up along the Illinois border to possibly help process women coming to Illinois from states that don't have easy access to abortion. But some people don't like the idea of mobile abortion clinics. Then they've got several things here that they outline as they oppose. And this is coming from the Illinois Family Institute. They don't like the idea of legalizing hallucinogenic mushrooms. And that's House Bill 1 that could come up in the executive committee tomorrow, and State Representative LaShawn Ford has that bill. You have another one, House Bill 3. It's House Committee Amendment 1, 2, and 3. Bans disclosure to authorities if a newborn has drugs in his or her system and changes any pronouns to gender neutral. Provide medical care to mother and newborn based on the World Health Organization guidelines and not the generally accepted standards. So an interesting bill there. That could come up in the Health Committee for the House. You've got a whole bunch of other bills that the Illinois Family Institute has spelled out in their recent statement out to their supporters and others on their website from a whole host of things. Dealing with physicians, dealing with municipalities and the consumption of cannabis, dealing with things about punishing children and whether parents are bullies. There's just pages and pages and pages of legislation that could advance at the Illinois State House out of committees before the deadline to get those bills out of committee. So it's going to be a high-flying, busy week, and I think that it's important you also keep in mind that idea of shell bills that could possibly mean you've got some last-minute maneuvering of how exactly these bills come together. And here again is State Representative Maurice West talking a little bit about shell bills and how he wants to ensure people don't feel as if they're getting slighted when these shell bills start advancing and making their way through the Illinois General Assembly. Here's State Representative Maurice West.
And forgetting about deadlines to get to the finish line by May 19th. I'll encourage voters and residents, don't look at it as put your mind at ease in terms of this trying to be the runaround over you. It's just part of the process of how we get things done. And at the end of the day, let's see what the results are from these shell bills, and that should give you pause or they give you comfort on the process.
So your thoughts, we can always take your phone calls at 217-629-7970. Good morning. You're on WMAY. Oh, hold on. Start over. I have to turn. You would have been on the air. Okay, see, let's go to this phone line. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
So I'm kind of learning as you're talking here, but so if these shell bills, if they amend it's apparently one word,
yep,
it opens up the entire bill for amendment.
Yeah, essentially, that's what amendments typically do. They file these. They have to go to a committee eventually. But what I think the real purpose of a shell bill is to get that bill with a specific number through committee before committee deadlines, because bills have to be read 3 times publicly. All right. And when they do that process has to be on 3 separate days, has to go through a committee. So in order to have a whole bunch of legislation that they can pluck off the tree. All right. So just imagine, the tree's got a bunch of fruit on it, and some of those fruits are ready to go. The only way they could be ready to go is if they've passed out of committee. All right. So then they can go, if these bills have passed out of committee, which a lot of these shell bills already have, they push them through committee, even though it only changes one word. Since it's through committee, they can then go grab that bill, gut it, replace it with something else, and it's already out of committee to where it can then be up for second reading or even possibly third reading for final passage. Does that make sense?
Yes, but it sounds, in a nutshell, it kind of sounds like the definition of bait and switch. I guess they are reading the bill after it is amended or after they make that change. It's, you said it has to be read, a second and a third time. So I guess it still could go up for contention, but it sounds like bait and switch, especially if you can go in and gut the entire bill.
Well, they some of the terminology they use, of course, you've got shell bill, which we've been talking about, but you've also got not bait and switch, gut and replace, because that's another term that's used quite a bit at the Illinois Statehouse, especially at the tail end of session, which this year it's mid-May.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for the help. I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate the call, and I'm doing what I can to hopefully inform everybody on how the quote sausage is made at the Illinois Statehouse. So appreciate everybody tuning in. It is Springfield's Morning News. You need to get a hold of me. You can bishoponair@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Just search Bishop on